pile with Vioti TV, and we're in the backyard here of Levi Maaia's house, Full Channel. Full Channel is a cable company, but you're here in Santa Barbara doing research. And why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the research you're doing with your STEAM program, as you called it?
Sure, yeah. I have been here in Santa Barbara working with some folks at UC Santa Barbara just across town here on a program for the past few years looking at how to incorporate new media technologies and new technologies in general into the classroom. So the STEAM program that I'm working on stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. Some of your viewers might have heard about STEM education, which incorporates those things minus the art. Our program's a little bit unique in that we're adding art to the mix to try to excite kids really about being interested in what happens in science and engineering fields and technology fields, and part of that is addressing the fact that a lot of students find math to be scary. A lot of adults find math to be scary. So how do we remove those barriers and really allow kids here in the U.S. to continue to succeed as we have for so many years in the past? I liken it to the space program. You know, when the U.S. space program was in full swing and we were racing to the moon and sending up the space shuttle every month, there was a lot of excitement and fervor around engineering fields. And now that the space programs become defunded in a lot of ways, some of that, I won't blame it completely on that, but partially I think a lot of that in-your-face motivation, the news covering engineering fields all the time, has waned, and along with it, so has the interest from students in the United States in those fields. So.
Well, it's interesting. Adding the art part of it, you touched upon something, and that is the whole hands-on aspect of it. And I think maybe the fact that kids have computers that can do a lot of the stuff for them today, but it takes away kind of that hands-on. So why don't you tell us about that part of it?
Yeah, a few years back when I was working on site in Rhode Island at Full Channel, I became interested in some of the cable networks and the things that they could offer to students in our local community. So for instance, Discovery Channel might contact us and say, hey, we have this great thing that works, a program that works in the classroom with kids, and are there any teachers in your community that might want to take advantage of this for Shark Week or something? And it was really hard to get those sort of special programs and multimedia programs infused into a classroom when there was so much pressure for high-stakes testing and push for improving students' test scores and whatnot. And so I met a lot of resistance when I came into the schools and said, hey, we're the local cable provider and we have this opportunity. And so I wanted to find a way that I could get into the classroom and really try to make a difference with new media technologies and STEM education. And so that's what led me out here to California. Somebody said to me not too long ago, a lot of young people are experts with computers in some sense, but then they're also there's a fundamental understanding of science and math that oftentimes is missing when you work at a really abstract level with computers. So the hope with the STEAM lab that I'm working on is to try to expose some of that, get kids coding, get kids using Arduinos, which are simple microprocessors that allow you to do some really cool things, get kids soldering, blowing things up and burning things out, and it's okay to mess up a little bit. It's perfectly fine. And I think when we're using our $1,500 laptops, we're a little bit worried about breaking them. And so if you can get things in students' hands that they're not afraid to break, then they might actually create something beyond what they had set out to do. So.
And your lab is actually at a school. It's with real students, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I work in town here at an independent school called Anacapa School, and that is sort of the lab that we're using in conjunction with my research at UC Santa Barbara. So. Well,
it's too bad we weren't here in the school year to see it in action. But it seems like there's probably a lot of lessons that you're learning that you're using in your own company. Any lessons that you could share with some of the viewers?
In many senses, we as a culture have become very much consumer-oriented, and there's a movement out there called the Maker Movement. There's Maker Faire up by you, up in the Bay Area, and I think that's really taking hold in a small way, and it's really growing. The first year, this group called I think it's Maker Media put on a conference up in an exposition really up in the Bay Area. They had a few thousand attendees. I think it's 5 or 6 years later, and there have hundreds of thousands of people showing up, looking at things that traditionally have, I think, fallen by the wayside as our culture gets more technically advanced. So, for instance, you'll have people there who are really into sculpture and metalworks, and other people who are doing really cool things with robots. So I guess my advice or my observation about our society is that for people to continue that spirit, that ingenuity and that entrepreneurial spirit, and to not just be passive consumers. It's okay to sit back and, hey, our business is cable television, so you need to relax sometimes and watch TV, but really take advantage of the tools that you have, the access to the world that you have at your fingertips through the internet and through all the things that are brought to our house every day through technology that makes it effortless to learn and to do things and to make a difference in the world. So I hope that as much as people continue to consume, which is good for business, that they also continue to create.
Well, and I guess, as a technology leader in your community, as the one bringing the broadband to the community, it seems like it gives you a special role to kind of take that leadership.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the classroom back in 2007, 2008, when I was working, trying to get these these initiatives going in the local communities in Rhode Island, and I would encourage school administrators, and there's a movement now where we always have this pendulum swing of high stakes testing, and then we go back and forth, and there's a place for those sort of things, but I do hope that that education as a whole finds a way to reward students for creative thinking and ingenuity, and not just how well they can fill in bubbles on multiple choice tests. So
it sounds like this will be something that it's really just the start, and it sounds like it'll be something that will be of interest to not only our viewers but other operators and so forth. Your progress on this. So appreciate your time on it.
Great, yeah. Thanks, Ken. On Saturday, May 5th, 2012, the team released their masterpiece into the stratosphere.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, up and away. Let it go.
Thanks to ham radio, folks all over the world could watch the balloon climb to an altitude of nearly 112,000 feet.